grandmas knit sweaters, some grandmas play bridge. My grandma hunted ghosts. So she actually, back in the day, had a column that she would write in Reader's Digest, where she would go and she would explore different houses and she would look through history and try to find more about this, and she would bring her kids along. My dad was the youngest out of 8. This story is actually why she got into ghost hunting. So back in the day, probably late 60s, early 70s, my dad was in the car with her. He was driving along with his younger brother sitting next to him there in the back. This is before you need to wear seatbelts or anything. They're driving down the road. She turns to them and she says, "Do you smell that?" He's like, "What are you talking about, Mom? Like, we don't smell anything." She's like, "It smells like my father's aftershave." And so she's kind of going through this, just trying to remember the very last thing that her father said to her before he passed away. And he passed away when she was fairly young, and before he died, he told her, "If you ever need me, I'll be there for you. If you're ever in danger, I'll be there." So she's remembering this. This is in her mind. And all of a sudden, she kind of feels this sort of like presence, like a hand on her shoulder. So she goes up and she pats it. She says, "Oh my God." She slams on the brakes. There's a green light in front of her. And all of a sudden, the cement truck, its brakes gave out. It comes going through down this downhill, probably around 80 miles per hour, takes off their license plate. They're freaked out. They get out of the car. My dad and his brother, they weren't wearing seatbelts at all. They're like, "We would have died." They're like, okay. They kind of gather themselves together. They get home, and this is where it gets really freaky. So my dad's oldest sister, Anne Marie, she lived in Florida at the time. This is before cell phones. This is before anything. And she herself is kind of out there. She had some weird things happen when she was growing up. And the phone's ringing, and they pick it up, and it's her. And she says, "Oh my God. Thank goodness, Mom, I hear your voice. Is the car okay?" They're like, "What are you talking about? How do you know about the car?" She's like, "I saw it." And she said, "I was shaking. I saw everything." She's like, "I was getting out of the shower, and I was combing my hair, and everything had kind of cleared up, like the mirror from the fog, except for this one spot. And I looked into it, and I saw your Ford station wagon, and I saw the streets," and she named them. And she said, "And I saw Joe, my dad, and Michael as they were crushed, and the car was torn in two." And my grandma at the time's like, "What?" And so she's a fairly religious and a superstitious woman. So she said, there's got to be more to this. This is just insane. My aunt, she swears to this day that's what happened. So my grandma, she writes this column, and she sends it off to Reader's Digest. And they start posting stories, and they ask, that got so many reviews. We were wondering if you could come and maybe do some more stories. And she's like, "Okay, I think I can do this." So she takes her kids along with her, and they go off to different haunted churches, different places, and they start to really see some spooky things in their life. And they've seen there's a photograph in my family of them going to visit a church where a woman was apparently murdered back in the Civil War. And my dad said you could look up in the bell tower and it sort of seemed like something was moving. And my sister took a picture, and when we looked at it, we got developed. It was this woman sitting in the bell tower with this long blonde hair, and you could see her, and she was kind of translucent, but you could also see her skeleton. And this photo's back in Florida with my aunt to this day. And she definitely has some stories that she tells every family reunion. So every family reunion, my family gets together in the summer, and they reminisce about all the times and all the things that they've seen, and all the things that go bump in the night, of all the trips they went on with her. Thank you.